If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, many things, anything, perfect. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode. Everything, anything, many things, anything, perfect mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode, 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 everything, anything, 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 perfect mode, perfect mode, everything, anything, 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 perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, I want to start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, hopefully, and helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can say that unapologetically is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason, and I mean the only reason you think that you're not perfect is if you're looking at this person on the side of you and saying, I'm not him. But guess what? You are you, and that's all you need. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. I have my boy JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And I have my boy E, Big Eric, Astrology. Let me tell y'all something about this guy. This is going to be something special because I don't know nothing about it, but he about to educate us today. Eric Taylor is a professional intuitive astrologer, and he came and kicked some knowledge for us today. And just before I let y'all talk, I got to let y'all know this crafted and lovely title topic that we came up with: navigating life's challenges with astrological wisdom. What up, Jay? What up, Eric?
Yeah. Happy Sunday.
Yes. Thank you so much, brothers, for having me on the show. I am more than honored and definitely excited.
Yeah, I'm ready to jump into it. Let me just say something real quick to the audience, because y'all know usually when we come up with topics, we know a little knowledge. We never claim to be experts or anything, and we like to come to certain conclusions with the audience and things. But this is a little different because Big E is the expert here. We're not the experts on astrology. I know a little, just a little though. And Troy, he said he doesn't know much either. So we're ready to dive right in. And I guess just to kick things off, how did you find yourself in the world of astrology?
Wow, that's a dope question, and just it's kind of wild. So growing up, I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised in New York City. I just knew from my parents. My father was a Baptist, my mother a Catholic, but I knew I was a Virgo. My older sister was a Libra. Mom Dukes was a Taurus, and my father was an Aries. So I just kind of knew that. But like growing up, I would always get the Daily News, New York Post, and I go read the sports section. But then after I read the sports section, I would look at horoscopes, and I just found it fascinating and interesting. And New York City, I always say, every street corner is a movie. And so my whole life, I also became a professional actor, did radio and did television, film, and theater. But I just always studied human beings, all the little details and intricacies. And then as you get older, then understanding the astrology for the ladies, that became kind of next level, right? So then I started to really get into it more and more. I think it was more so college. I found this huge book, not to be blasphemous, but it was the Bible of astrology. It was this huge 600-page book. And it would break down by your birthday all this information. And so, I'm a Virgo, right? You're a Capricorn, Jay. Troy, you're a Taurus. We got 3 earth signs here. And I would read. So I read, I was born, and it was called The Week of the Enigma. Now I was bugging out because I had been working on a one-man show, and it was titled E, the Energetic Enigma, because I'm an MC and I rhyme and stuff. Yeah. And so I was going to do all this stuff in a one-man show. And I was like, let me read this. So I read it. And then it felt like I was on the Truman Show, because honestly, after I read, and it's breaks it down, if you're born from the September 3rd to the 11th, it's the week of the Enigma. And I realized that in astrology, we have these things called deacons. So it depends on there's 0 degrees to 29 degrees in terms of your sign. So it breaks it up from 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29. And so, but anyway, I'm reading it, and no lie, as soon as I was done reading it, I was kind of like looking around like, yo, somebody's been spying on me. Like it described me to a T. And I was bugging. I was like, that's really deep.
Yeah.
Like, how did this book of astrology, because at the time when I was young, I just knew the basics, right? Like sun sign astrology. But it didn't happen until I moved to Arizona, got married, I'm a father of 4 sons. And then I got sick. I got this fungus called valley fever, and it, messed up everything, mucus every day, immune system. It was just terrible. But through that, Western medicine was failing me. So then I started researching, and I was like, well, I couldn't go to a job. I was like, how could I make money maybe as a life coach? But then I'm looking to get well. And that kind of brought me back into astrology. And then I started to learn, wait a minute, there's a moon sign. There's your rising sign. There's Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all these. And then I was like, whoa, there's way more. And then I started to read books, and then I started to take classes to really learn astrology. Yeah. It was just, I was remembering. I've been doing it past for multiple lives. And it came to me so intuitively. I was just like, yeah. But there's a branch called medical astrology, and that was helping me to kind of figure out my sickness and all this stuff. So yeah, man, that's how I got into it as a youngster. And then definitely for the ladies, because you could like learn the erogenous zones, like Libra or back, Taurus the neck, Pisces the feet. So then I was like, okay, so that was the big thing in college. But then after the sickness, then I really learned to become a professional astrologer.
Gotcha. So real quick, like just to summarize, like you mentioned medical astrology, like what other areas can astrology help people in, like general areas?
Oh, wow. Relationships, education, destiny, career, insight, understanding your parents, your siblings. You can see your children in the birth chart, certain character types. Astrology, I do also not just career charts, I do business birth charts. So like if you were starting a business or you already started it and you knew the exact date and time when you filed for your S Corp or your LLC, or let's just say you were like, oh, it was August 1st when I had my first sale and it's like 1 p.m. Eastern. I can cast a birth chart and it will tell the story of your business. I've actually helped big businesses too, reformulate their mission statement, things with employees, hurdles, social media, sales, marketing, advertising, rewrite out their business plans. Yeah, no, you can do really everything. And I can also see past lives. The birth chart is the map of your life, and it's truly the remembrance of your soul. You guys chose your parents. You chose these experiences, so there's no victimhood in astrology, right? And so everything is connecting us to, God's source energy, but understanding that God is within.
So I want to jump into something. So I want to shout out to Justin Williams that's jumped on and joined. Also to Him Lao, always on Him Lao BK. And Him Lao says, wow, astrology, the 2012 trauma. So you elaborate on that a little bit more, but I just want to make sure I shout out them out, let you know that,
Yeah, no, thanks for watching. Well, see, this is the thing with astrology, right? For example, tomorrow starts the Democratic Convention, and tomorrow is the Aquarius super full moon at 2:26 p.m. Eastern. That moon in Kamala Harris's chart is going to be conjunct her natal sun in the 9th house of wisdom, beliefs, your father's teaching, abundance, fortune, luck, publishing, and literally the law. So I don't know, a little prediction. Maybe we'll see tomorrow that they announced at the convention a ceasefire. They're working on that now. That was kind of my prediction a couple of days ago. We'll see if that, plays out. But you're going to see something that's going to be really big, because this energy is about us moving into our true authentic selves, vibrating from our heart chakra, and kind of understanding that our freedom and independence and liberation and being the rebel and black sheep is where we're called to be. The next 20 years, we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius. And it's there now, but in September 1st to November 19th, it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn. So you know what happened in 2008 when we had the whole real estate and the market crash? Mm-hmm. That's when Pluto entered Capricorn, quite literally. So like for astrologers, we can see these patterns. We see these planetary movements and how it affects us. It's called mundane astrology, how it literally affects us here on Earth. But you do have Western tropical astrologer. Some astrologers like to use the system called Placidus. I use the more ancient system that goes back to ancient Kemet and Babylonia, Mesopotamia, Hellenistic astrology, where it is the whole sign system. And then you also have, like, you know, in India, they've got the Vedic sidereal astrology. Nothing's wrong. They're all tools to get to the truth. And you can get there in different ways. So if I asked you a question, you may not remember what happened to you, Troy, at 10 years old, right? But it may align with your Chiron wounds. So I'll be like, oh, you got a wound, emotional, physical, or spiritual wound that happened at 10 years old. And I would describe this and that. And then you'd be like, oh, snap, yeah. Because that's the one thing that I always get everybody with astrology. How would I know that? I've never met you before. But if I bring up your chart, I can see the Chiron wound, and literally 10 out of 10, maybe 9.45 out of 10, it exactly connects with a wounding that you had in your life from bases, like from born to 29 years old. But sometimes when you get the higher degrees, the degree determines the age. So let's say if it's 26 degrees, I would ask you, did something happen at 26 or at 8 years old? And it could be a double wounding, both ages, but it's very literal and on point. And I even experienced that with one of my sons who has a Chiron wound at 26. And unfortunately, he suffered a TBI and a concussion at 8 years old. Yeah. So it will blow you away, man.
So I have a question as well, right? And this is not for me to get into politics per se. It's just so that way we can, I guess, bring this kind of full circle, because, you know, based off of our conversation kind of before the show, we kind of highlighted how more people are using astrology in the professional world, or in, you know, just outside of people just looking to see how they feel about themselves personally. And this is what you kind of alluded to with the Democratic convention coming up. What the way that I receive it is that they have somebody high level working and saying, hey, this makes sense for us to do it during this time frame, close to this time period, in order to better facilitate what we're trying to come about, right? And, you know, again, maybe I'm looking at it all wrong, but when I think about this from a competitive standpoint, right? And, you know, them trying to give themselves the edge in order to, again, it's all helpful to everybody, you know, based off the way that you described it. Yeah. But from the other side, would they have somebody that's countering that from an astrology standpoint to kind of balance out the table per se, to make to make everything equal? And again, this is not to get into the politics, but I'm just trying to see how this.
No, you said it perfectly, and you're assessing and analyzing it perfectly. So, for example, Ronald Reagan and many presidents, but he was the only one that boldly came out and admitted to it. Ronald Reagan used an astrologer even to schedule Nancy Reagan's breast cancer surgery, to schedule meetings with Mikhail Gorbachev, right? All these things, they had a personal astrologer. So power brokers from the Fortune 500 companies, from, you know, secret societies like Illuminati and whatever, politicians, you know, everybody, they use astrology. So, for example, right, we just had the assassination attempt, or whatever you want to call it, with Trump. That was literal in the birth chart. On July 15th, the exact conjunction of the planet Uranus, which is unpredictability, unexpected events, the sociology, the central nervous system, weird, bizarre, innovative, futuristic energy, but it can create chaos, was conjunct Mars, which is the adversary, the weapon, the soldier, the warrior, could be the gun, conjunct this fixed star called Algo, which is literally associated with like Medusa, but it goes back to like beheaded, like, you know, taking off the head of leaders, right? And so that was in his 10th house of the midheaven, which is your career, legacy, and public image. You can't make that up. So that literally happened, but it was 2 days before. But, you know, you may feel the energies as they're close. They can play out sometimes a week or two before. Right now we're in Mercury retrograde, August 28th. So I would tell you guys, right, watching, or anybody in the audience or watching on the replay, right, don't start new contracts now. Wait till early September. If you've already been doing something and then you got to finalize it, yeah, sign the papers, this and that. But like a real estate deal, if you were to purchase a condo, just wait till like September 5th, right? After Labor Day or whatever, let Mercury retrograde, whatever. Because when you do things and sign contracts and do different things on Mercury retrograde, it can turn out that it's not what you thought it was going to be. And it could be to your detriment. So yeah, they use that stuff for political events. When Biden stepped down, that was on the Capricorn full moon. I actually predicted it, but I thought it was going to be that Monday. He did it on the Sunday.
So question about that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, okay, you said that, you know, everybody's chart is kind of pre-planned. Like we chose everything. Our life is kind of in a sense planned. Not to the detail, but just like certain energy.
Well, yeah, we still got free will. Yep.
Right. So my question is, like, let's say we were to look at our own chart. Is it more so of trying to like reverse engineer it, or just see where we are in relation to it? Like, I guess what I'm asking, like, how can we begin to use it and to what benefit and to what end?
Right. So there's 12 houses. And so each house represents like literally 25 to 45 different themes of life and tells a story. And it wraps around counterclockwise like a clock, right? So you got the first house, second, third, fourth, right? And so you interpret it and starting at the rising sign ascendant, right? So like I'm a Scorpio rising, right?
So right before you go, when you say rising sign ascendant, what does that mean for our
right? Okay, so let's say the time that you were born. That's why the time is so important. In the eastern horizon in the sky, it connects with the constellation, and that constellation represents the zodiac sign. For Scorpio, it's Anguilla. And so when I was born in September, at the time I was born, the constellation of Scorpio was ascending in the eastern horizon of the sky. And that makes me a Scorpio rising. Okay. And then the ruler of Scorpio is the planet Mars. So then in the chart, I would look for the planet Mars, and that will tell me whatever house and sign it's in, that could be like major themes and events that could play out in my life.
And you know why, and I know you're going to continue to go on it, but the reason why I feel like this is important is because a lot of times on surface level, just the same way that you started to get into astrology, we don't look at it as complex. So we'll look at everything kind of surface level. And you know, when I think about this topic, navigating life's challenges, you know, life's challenges are not necessarily just surface level either. But we like to try to make them look like that. And so I think just giving that extra deep dive to say, okay, well, there is a portion of this that you have to account for in order to try to maximize what you're trying to do. But go ahead.
No, you're so right. I mean, you guys are hitting it. And it's like, for example, right, you can see, like Troy, I would be able to see in your birth chart, you know, maybe the age, because we have a timing technique called annual perfections, right? And so you can actually literally see in the chart sometimes literally when you got married, maybe where you met your wife, the character traits, sometimes literally even the sign of the first child we see in the 5th house, the 7th house, the second child. In the 7th house, I'll see the skills of that first child. Like it's that detailed. I've even helped parents with their children in terms of their learning styles, where a parent was like, oh, the school's saying my kid is this, that, and labeling and ADHD and this and that. And I'm like, your kid needs to learn more so in isolation and is more of an auditory learner. I can see that in the chart. So, you know what I mean? You can see different things. Like I literally I had a client recently, the age that they had a root canal. So you just don't know. And I had one client, she, you know, and you know, this is like, I'm not giving anybody's personal stuff in that sense, but she had an affair at work. I could see that in the birth chart. No judgment. And I asked her, do you want me to, you know, tell you the truth? Because I see something. She's like, yeah, that's why I came to you. And I said, so I see you had an affair at work. And she was like, right? She gasped. And I was like, no, I'm not judging you. I just don't know if your coworker or your boss. Because in the 6th house, we have our work, our service, our daily routine. sicknesses, illnesses, small pets, our health, our hygiene, our service to humanity. So it has coworkers and boss. And she's like, oh my God, you saw that? And I said, yeah. She goes, it was with my boss after I divorced my husband, but he lied to me and told me he was going to leave his wife and he didn't. And I said, yeah, I see the deception there too.
Yeah. So this is important because, you know, a lot of times we may ask ourselves, why is this happening to me? Or why does it have to be like this? Why are certain people this way?
Yeah.
And it sounds like we set up these challenges for our own divine purposes. And sometimes, so like you said, we shouldn't judge, which is one of the main things we talk about here on Perfect Mode. And one of the things you clarify for me too is I think I understand the setup of how astrology is structured. And what I mean is, before I used to think, okay, we're just assigned based on our birthday a number that they just chose at random. But it sounds like you said it's like a clock, and that made me visualize. So it sounds like it's the sky, and then that's the position of these celestial beings or planets.
360 degrees.
Ah, okay. So yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense.
But just kind of piggyback on you, Jay. That understanding you have is the general understanding of most people. I mean, if you think about anybody, at least anybody that's ever been around me, and I'm gonna say everybody that's ever been around me, whenever astrology is brought up, this is the way that it happens. Hey, what's your sign? Okay, this is your sign. They go to online, or they pull out a book and be like, okay, this, and it's literally that simplified. And you know,
and you're so much more than just a Taurus, Troy. Exactly, yeah. Because that's where people get lost, right? And then that's where, this is what's deep. That's where people are like, oh, astrology is fugazi. It's not real because I'm nothing like that. Of course not. Because peep this, Troy, you could be a Taurus and your sun sign could be in the first house. Your best friend or your cousin could have been born the same day, maybe in the next state over or whatever, but different hours. And their Taurus sun could be in the 6th, 9th, 11th house. Totally different experience from you. Yeah. Even you born the same day, same year. So it's that detailed. Think about our lives, how God made us. We are so one of one, unique and complex. That's exactly how detailed and complex astrology is. God makes no mistakes. And I tell people, I said, Earthlings, sometimes we're kind of arrogant. So we think God only controls Earth. No, man. God controls the moon, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, Mars, right? There's all these celestial bodies. And guess what? They link to the days of the week. Today's Sunday, it's the sun, Sol. Monday, the day of the moon, Lunes. Tuesday, the day of Mars, the best day to work out, lift your weights above the head, bench press, shoulders, all that. Wednesday, miércoles, Mercury, breath work, walking, journaling, your lungs, emails, communications. Thursday, jueves, Jupiter, squats, learning, taking classes, expansion, wisdom, beliefs, philosophies, lower body. Jupiter rules the hips and thighs. Friday, viernes, payday, date night. Venus is money, relationships, romance, sweet tooth, chocolate, date night. That's Friday. Saturday, Sabado, the planet Saturn, the true day of the Sabbath, spiritual discipline, structure, hard work. Another day, the 3 best days to work out, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Saturday, because Saturn is your bones, your DNA. It's actually machines. So you do the full body workout on a Saturday. If you work with the energy of these planets, I would redesign the work week, Tuesday to Friday. Monday, why do you think nobody likes to go to work on Monday? Because Monday's the day of the moon. That's the day of relaxing, introspection. The moon rules your body, health, intuition, and your emotional mind. You shouldn't be working on a Monday.
So it's funny.
I love that. Go ahead.
You said a lot of things there, but I'm going to bring it back to God. I'm gonna bring it back to the whole simplify, like us as human beings. I'll say, try to make things so simple so it's easier to understand. But when you really just think about the true order, like God is not simple. He got to be complex. I mean, it's too much. I mean, even the intricacies of the body is just too complex. Like we try to look at a picture and say, oh, that's this muscle, this muscle, this muscle. It's it's funny, and even going into astrology, just the breakdown that you've given us today, how society simplifies it to make you think that you can understand it in such a way without having to really do the intricate, detailed thinking behind it. It's just a funny thing, man. What were you finna say, Jay?
Well, I want to say, because it's yes and no, because God is simple. God is love, and astrology is love. That it sounds like, and we do sometimes overcomplicate it or underestimate it. Maybe I would say maybe that's better.
A great word, a great term, yeah.
And I'll say this: when I say complex, I don't mean, what I'm saying is it's bigger than what we.
Yes,
love is bigger than we give it credit for. Yeah. We try to simplify love and say love is this way. And so when I say simplify or simple, that's what I mean. But God is grander than we ever allow our minds to have the capacity to hold. So we try to simplify it. Love is way bigger. Like, the way that I love you cannot be minimized. You can't define it. And
there's so much nuance and complexity. You're so right with that.
Right.
But think of it like this: how our body functions. Do you know, like in the hours of the day, it activates different organs. Like I think the liver is from like 3 to 5 a.m. And they call that the witching hour, when supposedly your spirit team or guardian angels are not around you. Yeah. You're kind of like alone. But it's when the veil is so thin, we can wake up 3 to 5 a.m. in the morning and really do a spiritual practice, and it can be even magnified. Think about how alien we are. A piece of meat on the side of a skull and cranium that is labeled as an ear has hair follicles in it that allows us to hear frequency, vibration, and sound. This is just meat hanging off of a thing. That's crazy. Like that's God, right? God makes everything. You know what I mean? Think about it, because when you lose something, right? For example, so I have a compromised vision. I'm visually impaired, legally blind in my right eye. So what does it do? All my other senses are like freaking superheroes. I can hear an ant pee. I can smell anything. Like my wife's like, smell that? And I'm like, no, that's not good. You know what I mean? Like I'm like it's kind of like a joke in the family with the wife and kids, but that's what happens, right? So that's the function that God. There are no mistakes. There are no accidents. And I think it's so beautiful. And when you see and learn and understand the systems of astrology, it all connects, and you're like, wow, it's humbling, man.
So question.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay. No, you got it, Jay.
So, because the title is Navigating Life Challenges with Astrological Wisdom. So let's say someone does have a life challenge right now. They're like, this has always been bugging me. I'm trying to overcome this. Astrologically speaking, what's their first course of action? Is it like getting their chart, or what type of chart? What should they?
Well, I would always start with a live natal birth chart reading with me. I do it over Zoom, 65 minutes. And, I don't ever compare or judge or criticize other astrologers. That's just not my heart and my soul and my spirit. But I will say one thing that I do, I don't want to teach you. I don't want to buy you fish. I want to teach you how to fish. So when I do a chart reading, you're learning every aspect of your life. You receive the chart, you get video links of all your planetary placements. So even if we did the reading tomorrow, December 21st, you're almost like kids on Christmas break and you just got free time and you're sitting there and like, what did Eric say about my Jupiter being in Aries? What does that mean? And you can click the button, watch the video, and then you understand. And you're like, oh, okay, that's, you know what I mean? So, but in there, I break down from childhood to current life, to future life, relationships, career, the dynamics of your siblings, your parents, your kids, co-workers, psychological, past life traumas, your, mood swings, depression. Like I see it all. So it's, and there's some times where I can see in the chart where like, hey, if you actually purchase a small pet, that can activate gifts and blessings in your life. Or if you donate or give to charity, you know, something we should do naturally, right? When we give back, you know, it's just like the circulation, right? We don't spend money, we circulate money, right? So like, but when we give to charity or go to be of service and help others, well, I can see in the chart where that can karmically benefit you as well. So I get that deep, right? Healing the childhood wounds. You know, listen, I can see in the chart when people have been sexually abused or beat up by their parents in the home. I see that in the chart. I can see when you have spiritual experiences where maybe you see a spirit, a ghost, maybe an alien. Sometimes I can see those things. It's all there.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, can astrology offer guidance? Like, let's say you see this trauma that somebody has in their chart. Like, is there a way to be guided from that point? Like, you know, this is because this, and how does that work?
Yes. Well, because when we get the knowledge, then we can really understand that it's not an accident. And like you were saying, it's really for the evolution of your soul to grow. So there's no victimhood, right? We can't sit there, oh, you know, why did, you know, somebody shoot my dog and then I lost my job and my wife cheated on me? But I can explain that and let you know, like, you didn't do anything wrong, right? You're not at fault. What is happening is that your soul is going through these experiences to kind of build up your inner spiritual man. And I mean man for woman and man. So then you can draw closer to God and you can become the best version of yourself and you can overcome things. And then I can give you tools like, hey, Mars is our action, our willpower, our drive, how we get up and go get the big piece of chicken and go get the Benz and the mansion and hard work, right? So I can show you in the chart like, hey, you know, maybe in this area of life, you're kind of not finessing things. You're being too assertive and aggressive. So just work it like this. Maybe your Mars is in Libra, where it's debilitated because Mars is at home in Aries and Scorpio. So Mars is debilitated in Libra and Taurus. Not a death sentence, but I teach you how to work with the energy. So Mars and Libra, you may be a little bit passive aggressive and an emphasis on the aggressive part, but that's an archetype or character trait of a definition of that placement. And depending on the house, I can show you where you're doing that and maybe to whom you're doing that to, right? And so I can paint that whole story so then you can learn from it. And sometimes it's just making minor adjustments and corrections. But then the same thing in a relationship chart. I could see where maybe, Jay, your Mars is hitting your wife's moon. And just by you doing an action, you emotionally irritate her and you're not intending to. But I can point that out in a relationship chart so then you guys can kind of work on that and you could see, oh, wow, I didn't realize it's unconscious. I had no clue. When I'm doing this, it kind of rubs my wife the wrong way. And she's not understanding that. And we haven't actually sat down and talked about it because she just thinks like, oh, Jay's being Jay, right? But then when I can explain it to the two of you in a synastry compatibility chart, you could be like, oh, wow. So then she can learn you're not doing it intentionally. So she's not holding any bitterness or
it's not my fault.
Right. And then you can realize like, oh, snap. I'm affecting her emotional mind and her like inner peace when I do it like this. And just make the adjustments. That's all. So you can learn for relationships, for yourself, for where you keep going after, let's say, a certain career. I may see in your chart, like, you know, listen, you're really great at doing, let's say someone's a plumber. But then I'd be like, you know what, Troy, your chart really supports you being a realtor. Mm-hmm. Now, the plumber is good because that could be a skill that you could help, you know, do property management and fix some people's homes. But really, your gift is, and I may see Venus and Saturn in your third or fourth house. And I'm like, dude, you can not only be a realtor, you may be a great interior designer and help them like learn how to design and decorate so you can have an aspect that adds on to your real estate business. You know what I mean?
So I want to jump in. First, I want to read what Loretta said, and then I want to jump in and make a couple comments to kind of to express some things, right? So Loretta says, it sounds like astrology can inform our areas of strengths and how to have the highest experience. And, you know, just kind of come back into my thought process now. Eric, I know you know this because you're a professional doing this and you're living this. Like you live this now. You know, a lot of people are afraid of this topic, right?
Yeah.
Like people are afraid to have the conversation, to be associated with the conversation. Like there are people that are fearful of this.
Yes.
So this is my way, in a sense, removing and this is probably not even a real word, but removing the wizardry of it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The wizardry of it, right? And this is the way that I think about it, being the practical guy that I am, right?
Amen. That's Taurus, right?
Right. He's what you've expressed is, I could give this feedback to anybody, whether I'm in your sign or not. Hey, you could be a good plumber if you just do these things in order to become a plumber. But if you have these specific set of circumstances that you fall within, not only can you be a plumber, but you will excel at a rate that's beyond what would seem normal for another person. Number one, right? The reason why I know this to be true, and again, this is me removing the wizardry out of it, right?
Yeah.
I in no way, form, shape, or fashion feel like I'm a procrastinator, nor do I feel like I'm lazy. But if you get me in the daytime and have me look through email, something simple, right? It's like pulling teeth. It's like every email I look at is like you're dragging me down in the mud. Even if it's nothing, it's just like, oh my God, right? Like, I can't believe I have to do this right now. But if you catch me after 12 at night, something in me clicks and I can just go. And I won't get tired. I won't never feel like stopping. It's just something about that time. Now, again, I've never looked into the astrology of that for myself, but that's the way that I perceive what you're saying. And the reason why I'm saying it like that is because, to me, that's removing the wizardry. We all know and feel and sense there are things that we do certain times, certain places, you know, you know, even
Amen.
when you, like you said, even if you were to get up and pray between 3 and 5, you may even be more in tune. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, these are things that we can also sense, right? And we just don't always take the opportunity to do the deep dive, find out the complexity, or even acknowledge it the way that you should acknowledge it, so that way you can see where the benefit is. And that's the reason why I like what you're saying. That's the reason why I can subscribe and understand that, okay, there's a deeper dive, because I do feel different then. And I never knew why. And I never understood what it is, because, again, it's still the same action. It's not like I'm saying, oh, at this time of night, I'm finna do something completely different. Same thing, different time, different feeling, and also different outcome. And so, again, I just had to throw that out there, because that's what I see when you're saying what you're saying.
Well, let me address that perfectly, because you said it perfectly. Number one, intuition. Nowhere in Western culture and societies, right, are we really taught to acknowledge and adhere to or pay attention to our instinct, our intuition, which is in our gut and our root chakra. When you get those little bumps on your arm, right, those little goosebumps, that's like your connection to God source energy. It's like, yes, Troy, do this. No, JClay, don't do that. Yes, Eric, do this. And we have to learn to listen to it, right? Our ancestors did, indigenous cultures do, right? But just like in the Americas and in the Western world, it's not really, we're not encouraged to do that. But the more that we do, it can work. For example, like when you're talking about at night, you're more lit up. Well, you're a Taurus. Now, I'd have to see your chart to see where your Taurus sun is at. But guess what? The moon is exalted in Taurus. So quite literally, yeah, nighttime, I can see that being like a beneficial time where you feel more at home or whatever, because the Taurus moon is at home in the sign of Cancer, the crab, but it's exalted in Taurus. It just means the energy is a little more better. Okay. But for example, I will tell you, astrology is in the Bible, Torah, and the Quran. And like you were saying to the wizardry, no, it's not a sin. I still believe in Jesus. I call him by his real name, Yeshua, right? Became a born-again Christian in 1999. But I will tell you that not only does the church know about astrology, so does they know your birth charts. I haven't seen them yet, but the government has. Because if you have a social security card and a birth certificate and you were born in a hospital, they have and keep and store your birth chart.
So I have a side question. Okay. So I heard you say like Mars is the energy of action. When you just talked about how like in the Western world, we ignore intuition. It sounds like we're kind of in the action mode. Have you ever done the birth chart of the United States? It just saw, and is Mars ruled some kind of way? Just curious.
So, okay, you're gonna laugh. It's so literal, Jay. It'll blow your mind. America is a Sagittarius rising, and it has the Cancer sun in the 8th house, which is of like the secret societies, occult knowledge, IRS, FBI, CIA. In the 7th house, it has Mars and Uranus, and that 7th house is you in relation to the other half. That's the descendant. And with having Mars and Uranus in Gemini, right, in 2026 of April, we're going to have our Uranus return. But quite literally, and Mars is in Gemini right now as we speak, that shows us suddenly getting into war with other countries and things like that, which America has done quite literally. Often and often and often. We don't mind our business. We're always in other people's business, right? And playing the police, Mars, to the other half, 7th house. So yeah, it's very literal, right? And America's chart has an Aquarius moon. So like, it's very fascinating. And so with the Sagittarius rising, right? It's like America is like kind of like all about its wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. Oh, we're da da da. Well, America's a corporation. They try to say, oh, we're a democratic society. No, we're a republic, right? So it's kind of like it bloviates, right? Sagittarius rising is jovial, blunt, sometimes arrogant, low vibrational, but it's expansion, wisdom, beliefs, philosophy, biology, and finance. So America brags about the stock market and, oh, the best medical in the world. That's not the case, right? This country, we poison our citizens more than other countries. You cannot send American products and food to other countries. They won't accept it. Kellogg's is being sued right now because they make food in other countries without the chemicals and then put the chemicals back in here for America.
Yo, look, just a real quick side note.
Yep.
Only because I literally just saw this on I was on TikTok, right? And it's a comedian talking about the foods that we have over here. And he talked about how he was in Europe and they didn't know what Doritos were. And when they came over here, he like, you know, he made the correlation of somebody being strung out on crack on the corner. He said, I walked out of the store and dude was like, hey, can I have like, you know, $2? And he was like, what you need $2 for? He's like, man, I just need the $2. So he gave the dude the $2 and he came out and he was eating Doritos. And he said he gotta have it because this like you said, the stuff that we have,
the chemicals they put on it, it's addicting.
Yeah.
All the fast food, if you notice all the fast food restaurants, they have the colors that go to your lower chakra, the red, the yellow, the orange. Yeah. It's not an accident. It's to get you to eat that stuff. And guess what? Doritos, it's funny you said Doritos, no accidents. I always use that with my clients as the analogy because your gut is your second brain. Yeah. Doritos is not real food. So when you eat it, it gets stored in your gut as fat, but then gets processed to sugar and can lead to kidney issues and diabetes.
We're wearing the colors of Doritos right now.
Right.
Yeah. And like same thing with the soda, right? They market, they tell you, oh, we'll give you, you know, oh my God, the prices drop. But soda, right? It can take the paint off a car, you know. So like what's the great thing about astrology? I can even show you things around your health and nutrition. You know, the 12th house is hospitals, prisons, jails, isolation. The 6th house is your health and hygiene, your daily routine, sickness, illness. Like, so, you know, the 4th house is associated with the mother and your emotional mind, your hometown, homeland, childhood home, adult home, retirement home. And the 10th house is more the legacy, the public image and relationship with dad. So you can see, I mean, I get excited just talking about it because I see the work that I do every day and the testimonials from my clients. It warms my heart, but to me, it's about, I want to be of service to humanity. I've always been Even as a little boy, just someone like, for example, there were no bullies on my watch. Like I would, and I was a little kid. I just had a big mouth, big feet, and big glasses, but I wasn't going to let some kids bully some other kids in front of me. I would step up to the bullies and be like, nah, we're not doing that, And so, that's always been my heart, to help people. I tell people I've been a relationship coach since I was 11, 12 years old. I tell my homegirls, like, nah, he's not really feeling you. Or I tell my homeboy, like, nah, you don't want to mess with her. She's not the right girl. You know what I mean? Like, I used to always drop knowledge on cats and stuff like that. So, like, for me to be doing this now, everything's come full circle.
Cool. Question.
Go ahead.
Well, quick question, even on the bullies, because I know sometimes even bullies get bullied because they're bullies in a sense.
Exactly.
Have you seen charts of bullies and what that says about them, or you know what I'm trying to ask?
So you can see certain placements, like I can see where someone's been abused, and then the abuser, the abusee then becomes the abuser. So you can see things like that. I mean, I had a client who had a placement in her 4th house, and I asked her about it, and she's like, yeah, my father used to punch me in the stomach when I was a little girl in my home. I saw that in the chart, and I was like, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I saw the abuse, and I didn't know if it was physical or sexual. So then that's what I would ask, right? It was the Black Moon Lilith in the 4th house. And so I'm asking her, like, did you experience emotional, physical, or sexual abuse? And she was like, for me, it was physical. Dad used to actually hit me.
Now, I have something, just a quick side note, since we actually do have Angela K. Clay on and said she's a Sagittarius. Just a quick gem for her real quick about Sagittarius.
Sagittarius is a great energy. A lot of my friends, cousin, my grandfather, Sagittarius are great storytellers, but they like to zoom out and see the big picture. Sagittarius needs to move their physical body. If they work in an office at a desk, that's like slow torture for them. They have to get up and move. One funny note and an anecdote, and maybe she'll admit to this live on air, but a lot of Sagittarius, when they're on their cell phone, they can't sit still. They're the ones that are walking and talking on the phone. Like, hey, how you doing? Like if you call them and they're sitting within that conversation, if it's more than a minute or two, they will stand up and start moving. That's Sagittarius. It rules the hips and thighs. They're very funny, great storytellers, but it's Jupiter, so expansion. They have to watch as they get older. Watch what they're eating, because they can expand in their weight, but also they are highly intelligent. And Sagittarius is definitely, they like to, it's the teacher preacher energy. If they get some information and knowledge, they want to share their wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies with you. They're highly intelligent, fun. It's a great sign. And Sagittarius women, they can have intense emotions, but they're some tough ladies and very smart. And they may like to travel as well.
I appreciate that. Just because she actually came on and put it in there, I wanted to make sure we acknowledge that.
Yeah. If anybody has questions, I'm willing to answer.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jay. Go ahead. No, you got it, Jay.
Well, before we end, we're going to put your info up so people can get that, start with that package for you. But I also wanted to know, like, is there like one quick thing that everyone could just do, like on their own, just that they should do, or that they should incorporate?
Yes, I would recommend going to astro.com. And if you know your birth time, city, state, date, location, just type it in, and then you can bring up your chart. Now, I would say there's a little default box, and I would click it and go down to whole sign, and that's the whole sign system. But even if you just did the default, that would be the Placidus. But you would be able to look at your chart, and then you can start to kind of like Google or go to YouTube. You may look at the symbols and have a grid that show you what the symbols look like, because it's like learning a new language, right? It's like hieroglyphics. Like, so you got to see what Venus looks like. Mercury's got the stick with the circle and then the two antennas, so you got to learn the glyphs. But then once you learn them, then you could start to be like, okay, I've got Mercury and Gemini in the 4th house. What does that mean? And then you can go to Biggie Astrology on YouTube and watch my video and be like, oh, snap, Eric's breaking that down. I get it. Oh, yeah, that's how I communicate. Oh, that's how, because Mercury is our analytical, logical mind, how we analyze and assess and process, right? There's the door, there's the microphone, there's the light. That's what the Mercury's doing. The moon is the emotional mind, our reactions, our body, health, intuition. The moon represents your mother in astrology. So you could quite literally see the relationship of your mom. And the sun is you, your vitality, purpose, your self-esteem, your soul, your action, vitality, but it's also your father. So even the alignments of the sun and moon in your chart. So I'm a Virgo sun and a Capricorn moon. So, and I do this with my clients, right? So that means when my parents had me, it's a 120-degree angle. The sun and the moon are both in earth signs. So my parents were in perfect harmony when they made me, when I was born. So you can even see things like that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Well, I was going to say just real quick about what you said of the sun and the moon. It made me think about the carvings on the emerald tablet. I don't even have it memorized, but it talked about the sun is his father, the moon is his mother, the earth carries it in its belly, and just all of that. It made me think of that. So it's cool how everything is still connected in one.
Man, listen, every day I just honestly, I am so humbled by just the power and the majesty of God, and just how there are no accidents. Everything aligns. It's so beautiful. I look at my wife's chart and mine. We got married. I didn't know. I just knew she was a Pisces. I was a Virgo. When I learned astrology and brought up our charts, I mean, literally, you could see like we were meant to be. We were soulmates. Yeah. Like it's crazy. And then I got it confirmed recently when I did a soul contract reading with a different practitioner, and it was just like it blew me away. But you know, there's certain things like Venus is your love language, relationships, and astrology. In a husband's chart, it's his wife. In a woman's chart, Jupiter represents the husband. So like you can see different planetary alignments. There's this asteroid called Juno, and it's the asteroid. It was Jupiter's wife in, I think, Greek mythology. But Juno quite literally can tell you who you may have a long-term relationship, commitment, or marriage with. So there's all these little codes and symbols, and it just, as you decipher it, you're like, I mean, you know, when I was first learning it, I mean, here's an example. I looked at China's chart 2020 when the pandemic first started, and I saw their chart, and I said, oh, wow. I told my wife one day, I said, babe, this thing is coming to America, and it's coming strong.
Yeah.
I could see it in the chart. So, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, you guys, there's nothing like, so the astrologer can be wrong, or the client may misremember or not want to admit to something, but the astrology is never wrong. In the book of Genesis, when they talk about 1 day equals 1 year, that is solar secondary progressions in astrology, right? So, for example, right, I was born in Virgo. My progressed sun now is in Scorpio. So like, you know, you just count from the day of your birth, whatever your age is, you move the clock forward that many days. And that shows you like the moon switches signs and houses every 2.5 years. And if you think about it, we change every 2.5 years, right? Like you're not the same from 21 to like 24, 24 to 27, 27 to 30. We kind of like have these little pockets of change and growth and maturity. That's the moon progressing, just like it does every 2.5 days in right now, and you're in the sky.
So I want to ask this for the audience, and it's just so that way we can make sure that we get the most out of, you know, what you've given today. So, you know, we have, you know, the best day to work out, do squats. We got the best day to pray or to relax. What would be the best if somebody was finna jump into this and start to be receptive to the information? What would be the best day to go in and do that?
That's a great question. I would say on a Wednesday, because or Thursday, because Wednesday is Mercury. Mercury is the messenger. So your mind is ready to process, analyze, and assess information. Or Jupiter, because Jupiter connects to the guru, the shaman, the teacher, the preacher, expanding your knowledge, wanting to seek and gain higher knowledge and information. So a Wednesday or Thursday would be the best day to be like, either reach out to me at biggieastrology.com, right? Or email me at eric@biggieastrology.com, or go bring up your birth chart, or, you know, start looking at my YouTube channel and watching videos and be like, you know what? There's something that he said that pierced my heart. I know that I'm a Sagittarius, or I know that I'm an Aquarius, but I don't know about my rising and my moon. The sun, moon, and rising are the three prongs of like your personality. The rising sign is your aura, your outer mask, your physical appearance, your I am energy of self. I mentioned what the sun and the moon is, and you know, it's very, you Yeah, so Wednesday or Thursday would be those days.
I like that for a number of reasons. Number one, it applies to all things. So one thing you said is like learning a new language. For everybody out there listening, anytime you do something that you've never done before, which we do all the time, it's learning a new language. It's always learning a new language. So you shouldn't be fearful of learning the new language, because that's what we do every day. But on top of that, if you are looking to get into this, the best day would be Wednesday and Thursday. He's giving you the clues, but that goes along with everything else you're trying to learn. Open your mind up to receive. So, man, I just want to tell you that I appreciate you, and I know this conversation, as I said earlier, this was simple, but I know it's even more complex than what we were able to do. And I know for a fact that we're going to have you back for even a deeper dive. Even to see what else we can unlock. Because today I came into this with a blank slate. I didn't know anything. I knew what I feel like the general person knows, and that's literally go online. If I was to look up something and read whatever it said about Taurus, and roll with that. And I think that's what most people, the masses generally do. And go ahead, Jay.
Well, and I just want to co-sign everything as well, because I was one of those people that I would read horoscopes. And I'm like, that's not me at all. But that's because I was only reading the sun sign. I didn't know anything about the moon sign.
And guess what? They don't tell you that horoscope. It's based really on your rising sign, so that's why it doesn't resonate with people.
Right. And when I started reading about that, I was like, how do they know me? This is crazy. I'm more of an equation than a person, because this is amazing. And so I love it all.
And it show you how cold God is at math. You say equation, baby.
Yeah, this has been an honor and a pleasure. And and reality is, in life, no fear, right? Yeah. Be open to new information and knowledge. And when we are willing to get uncomfortable and have an open mind and change, that's where God works the miracles in our life, and we can really just grow and become the best versions of ourselves, And it's really great to learn your children's charts, because it can literally make you a better parent. When you understand their moon and their emotions, you know how to guide and redirect and help them. It's a beautiful system, and I'm honored and proud every day to work with people literally all over the world.
So I'm going to say this again, because I know we're pretty much at the end. Shouts out to Eric Big E Taylor. Like, shouts out, because to come on the platform to give to us that which we don't have, bless us to come on, and I'm gonna talk about the logistics of it, just to know that he could not be here. You know what I mean? And just to let you know that, man, I want to say publicly, like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you being willing to help me grow, uplift me, and show me things that I don't know or I'm not sure of. And I encourage everyone to check out, www.bigeastrology.com. Do it on a Wednesday or Thursday, of course. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you never know what you don't know. And that's how I leave it. And I also, remind everybody, like we do every day, every time we do a show, you are perfect. You are unique. JClay said it a while ago. He is I'm going to say the perfect equation, because it shows you how perfect God is. He made you that way so and to give you the opportunity to live within yourself, to figure you out. Take the time to figure you spend the time to figure you out.
Never be afraid of introspection, people. It's so important.
But Jay, we at our end, so you can go ahead and take us out, man. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. But real quick, did you have any last words, Big E?
Yeah, man. I just want people to really, Saturn's in Pisces to February 2026. Every day, do some sort of spiritual practice. If you're getting on your knees, getting in the prayer closet, meditating, toning, grounding and earthing in nature, hugging a tree, doing some sort of spiritual practice, at least 15 to 30 minutes a day, that is the best start. And that is honoring God and the Creator, and it's going to build you up to deal with all the mess that's going on in this world. And fear nothing. Vibrate always the 4 highest frequencies: gratitude, joy, love, and number 1, authenticity. God made you to be JClay. You to be Troy and me to be Eric, Big E, and that's who we're meant to be.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah, but again, we'll appreciate everybody that's rocking with us. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, all of that good stuff. Share if you found this helpful. Hit up Big E at his website. Let's put it one more time on the screen. There we go. Hit him on the website. Get that package. I'm gonna get my package, all of that. And yeah, just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
Yeah. Out of here.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything